Hello and welcome viewers to Creation Core's first airline review video. I won't pretend we'll reach the giddy heights of Noel Phillips, Paul Lucas or Nonstop Dan, but hopefully these little side videos to our main documentary content will prove informative to those who have an interest in such things. We begin at Heathrow Terminal 3 at 20 to 6 in the morning, soon to board an Emirates A380 flight to Dubai International. At time of recording, COVID restrictions were still being phased out, and so I was curious to discover what the Emirates economy experience would be like following the pandemic. Emirates has a lounge right next to its departure gates, although I spent some time at the American Express Centurion Lounge at Terminal 3. Check out the video for that. The A380 is as glorious as ever, and the boarding process was relatively fast and efficient. I was fortunate enough to have a row completely to myself for this flight, but unfortunately I was directly above the wing, so no lovely takeoff footage on this occasion, I'm afraid. The seat is certainly one of the roomier economy class options available on the market. I'm almost 6'4", and as you can see I have plenty of wiggle room and a few inches of clear space for my knees. There's enough space in the pouch for books, electronics, and the standard sick bag and technical brochure. The entertainment screen tilts nicely for when the person in front leans back. There is an efficient remote control for navigating the in-flight entertainment and playing games, along with a USB port, headphone socket, and universal charging point. You'll find a relatively sturdy and sizable tray table that will hold your food tray or laptop as required. Complimentary headphones are provided along with a standard pillow and a relatively comfortable blanket. The headrest can be nicely adjusted in terms of angle and height for the ideal sat-up sleeping position. COVID was in the decline when I flew, but we were given a free mask and hand sanitizer nonetheless, which is always welcome. The cabin has a nice, brightly lit aesthetic, although I'm more a fan of Virgin Atlantic's darker interior decor, and there are separate lights and air vents above. As for the toilet, well, it does what it says on the tin. It's not the biggest there is out there, but it's spacious enough to do your business, and it was always clean and well presented. There are some nice designer soaps rather than cheap foam, lots of spare facial tissue and more sanitary napkins than you'll need. There's a socket for a shaver and a separate air vent. You're able to adjust the temperature on the tap from scalding to nice and chilled, and kudos for the triangular folding at the end of the toilet paper, a classy touch. Overall, by economy standards, the seat, cabin and toilet on the Emirates A380 gets a 5 out of 5. The safety video is not the worst to watch and reminds you of how the other half live up in first and business class above your heads. For those of you who enjoy such things, here's our damp takeoff from Heathrow in all its glory. I have to say, I've always had smooth takeoffs while flying on the A380, and it's often the least bumpy ride I have in the skies. Today's flight would cover the 3,500 or so miles between London and Dubai in just under 6.5 hours, traversing Europe, over the Black Sea, through the Middle East, and down the Persian Gulf to land in Dubai International at 8 PM local time. There was certainly a lot to occupy one's time during that 6.5 hours. Emirates' ICE system is a multiple award-winning one, and with good reason, with thousands of movies, TV shows and games available. I is for information, where you can access various flight details and info on the airline itself and what's going on in Dubai. C is for communication, including Wi-Fi, although it should be noted that, as this map shows, it is not available over certain countries. Finally, E stands for entertainment, and this is the proper meat in the sandwich, with those aforementioned thousands of movies, TV shows and games at your disposal. The screen is sizable enough by economy standards and was clear and responsive to the touch. You certainly won't be bored, it's safe to say, though bring your own compatible headphones rather than the relatively poor ones that are provided. With so much on offer, it has to be a 5 out of 5 for entertainment on Emirates. But whether you're watching the most recent blockbuster or admiring the view from the A380's tail camera, at some point you're going to need sustenance. So this was lunch, a pretty decent spread to be fair. For my main, I opted for the braised beef with steamed broccoli and sliced potatoes with bechamel and cheese. To start was a potato salad, along with some cheese and biscuits, and a accompanying juice if you wanted it. A bread roll with some Lurpak butter, some water, and for dessert was a délice, effectively a chocolate brownie, with mousse and caramel sauce. And hey, real cutlery! The potatoes were nicely cooked, not too hard, not too soft. The highlight was the braised steak. It was tender and well cooked, and the sauce was delicious, along with the accompanying vegetables, which were done just right. The dessert was quite chilled and therefore a bit tougher to get the spoon into, but it was thick, creamy, and thoroughly satisfying. In fact, the whole meal was so satisfying that, as you can see, nothing went to waste, and I cleaned my plate like a good boy. As a result, I'd say the only fair score to give Emirates Economy food product is yet another 5 out of 5. But what of the crew who served this food and the overall service of the airline? Well, I wasn't able to get any footage of the cabin crew, unfortunately, so in the meantime, please enjoy this landing shot of us approaching Dubai International. Generally, I would say that the crew were perfectly good at what they did, with a timely meal service and drinks offered at reasonable intervals. I wouldn't say the crew were exceptionally warm or chatty compared to other airline staff, such as on Virgin Atlantic, but they were friendly enough and did what they needed to do with great efficiency, considering they are nearly always rushed in economy. Of course, you can't expect the personalised experience and service that you'd receive in business and especially first class, but an occasional smile and brief chit-chat goes a long way, and so Emirates loses a tiny bit in this area. As a result, the crew and service score a still pretty good 4 out of 5. And so, as we tally up the final verdict, we arrive at a very respectable silver medal position of 19 out of 20 for the Emirates Economy class flight between London and Dubai on the A380, just shy of the full score gold medal. Emirates has quite clearly recovered very well from the pandemic, and I'd have no hesitation in flying with them again, especially on A380 routes. This was the first leg of a journey from Heathrow to Nairobi in Kenya via Dubai, so check out the review of the Emirates Economy Class experience in the Boeing 777 to and from Nairobi. Until next time, happy flying!